Hello and welcome to my YouTube video. So today I will be painting this lovely little kitten, but before I show you the time-lapse video, I just briefly wanted to talk about the colours that I used in this painting. So it's a very sort of limited palette painting, and I've only used yellow ochre, ivory black, cadmium red and titanium white. So the result gives you a very harmonious painting where the subject is really integrated really nicely into its background. And you'd be amazed at how many colours you can mix with so few tubes of paint. So I think now we'll have a look at the time-lapse video of me actually painting this cat. So for this week's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about using a limited palette generally and the benefits of doing this. But before I get on to that, I just thought I'd mention briefly about my own journey in the world of colour. And when I used to go into art shops, I was a little bit like a kid in a candy store. I mean, there was so much choice, so many colours of paint, and I would buy everything. Seriously, it would be like every week it would be a new colour. But in reality, you don't actually need all those colours at all. So my own experience of painting has been from a very broad palette where, you know, back in the days, I'd chuck every colour at a painting, you know, the more the merrier. And I've gone from that to a much more limited approach with limited colours. When I first started painting, my problem was that I would just buy colours based on if I liked them. Then I'd try and sort of weave these new favourite colours sort of into my painting somehow. It wasn't really based on any thinking or any planning, and the result was a very disjointed painting that it sort of looked like I'd been on the wine a bit as I'd done it. And not a lot of thought had really gone into where I was putting the colours, or how I was trying to balance the colours, or trying to make the painting harmonious. I just used the colours because I liked them. But if you are aiming for a realistic painting, this sort of approach, it's not really a very good approach because things just don't look like this in real life. So I would say that you really don't need that many colours on your palette to make something look really realistic and lifelike. I mean, I suppose the reason why art suppliers make so many colours anyway is because I guess they want us to buy them, and a lot of the time it's sort of convenience mixing. So, you know, it's easier to just squirt it straight out of a tube than maybe to mix raw umber or raw sienna, which is very easy to do. So there are many benefits of using a limited palette, right? So these are 8 benefits that I can think of. There are probably more, but I just couldn't think of them. So this is my top 8. So number 1, you save money, which is always a bonus. I mean, as an artist, I'm always looking for ways to save money. So a limited palette, it's right up there. Number 2, you'll introduce harmony into your artwork. Number 3, you'll become more sensitive to temperature changes. Number 4, you've got less chance of overmixing. Number 5, it's a faster way to paint. Number 6, it forces you to think about tone and composition. Number 7, it will improve your skills, which has always got to be good. Number 8, also it's just so much more simple. You'll have fewer colours to mix, and so you'll find it easier to progress through your painting with a bit more clarity. So lots of benefits really, and many great artists have used a limited palette. There's obviously Zorn, I love his work, and also the great master John Singer Sargent himself. So I mean, if it worked for them, I would definitely recommend giving it a try, because I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel really if it's been done before and it's been proved to work really, really well. So if you're going to start off with a really, really limited palette like the one that Anders Zorn used, this is Yellow Ochre, Cadmium Red, Ivory Black and Titanium White. I do use this palette quite a bit when painting very neutral animal portraits, like this one that I'm painting today. I mean, notice how harmonious the cat looks in its background. Ideally, what you want to do really is to mix the colours from the background into the cat's fur itself, mostly in the light areas. I would say though that the Zorn palette is not great though for painting greenery, because basically all you've got is yellow ochre and ivory black, and this is not going to give you much variation for maybe painting horses in landscape or anything like that really. So I would suggest adding maybe a few more colours to this palette, like for example cadmium yellow, ultramarine and a deep crimson red like alizarin crimson. This will then enable you to paint more subject matters in different environments. But just about any palette with a combination of 3 primaries will be workable. So if you want to mix things about and try different things, then I'd say definitely have a go. I should also say as well that it's okay to introduce extra colours into your palette for special purposes. So for example, when I'm painting backlit objects, I introduce Indian yellow. And you know, you may want to introduce other colours if you're painting seascapes or anything like that. So you might want to introduce cobalt blue or maybe some kind of magenta. It's really okay to play about with your palette, but to kind of limit the number of paints that you use. However, just a word of caution, it's not a good idea to introduce a new colour halfway through a painting. You need to make sure it's there from the start, so it's on your palette when you actually start, so that you can introduce it into different colour mixes. Otherwise, what you'll end up doing is that you'll lose the harmony that you're aiming for and the painting will become very disjointed. So I hope you have enjoyed today's video. I do try and do a new video every week, so please subscribe to my channel and I'll see you for the next one.